Sheryl Swoopes, this is kind of what you get for kind of not jumping on the tide, jumping on the boat. You were supposed to go.
Did Sheryl Swoopes really think she could spend an entire year spreading false narratives about Caitlin Clark and still keep her spot on air? Turns out the league just gave her the answer loud and clear. She's officially been cut from all WNBA broadcast duties for the 2025 season.
Got fired, but it looked like you got fired, bro. It looked like she got fired. I just gotta keep it real. It looked like she got fired.
This wasn't about a one-time hot take or an accidental misstep. This was the result of a long, deliberate smear campaign aimed at the WNBA's biggest rising star. And the league finally said that's it. So what really led to Sheryl Swoopes getting the boot? In this video, we're diving into the full story. The backlash, the cleanup attempt, and the real reason she lost her spot. You ready? Let's get into it.
I won't be missing you broadcasting the games because when you broadcasted the games, it was so hard for you to mention Caitlin Clark. How are you up there talking about, you kept mentioning, oh, the Indiana Fever are doing this. Oh, Kelsey Mitchell and the Indiana Fever. Oh, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and those girls are doing. Oh, you had such the hardest time mentioning Caitlin Clark's name. Why? I don't get it. I really don't know.
Did you know Sheryl Swoopes has a history of being shown the door? Long before this latest broadcasting fallout, she had already built up a reputation for leaving jobs under fire. Sure, her Hall of Fame career on the court earned her respect as one of the WNBA's trailblazers. But once the playing days ended, a troubling pattern started to emerge.
Loyola University basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players. College coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
The red flags couldn't have been more obvious during Sheryl Swoopes' time at Loyola University, Chicago. In July 2016, she was let go as head coach after an alarming player walkout. When 10 out of 12 returning players leave your program in one off-season, that's not just a rough patch, that's a full-blown meltdown. That kind of turnover isn't normal. It's a siren blaring that something's seriously wrong behind the scenes.
She mistreated players.
It was the environment she had created. I was belittled, humiliated, made to feel extremely small.
Head coach since 2013. Last year, 5 of her players reportedly transferred to different programs. And this year, a reported 10 of the team's 12 players aren't planning on coming back.
Former Loyola player Kate Sloan didn't hold back when reflecting on Sheryl Swoopes' coaching style. Being a legendary player doesn't automatically make you a great coach, she said. According to Sloan and others, Swoopes brought more chaos than leadership. Multiple players described a tense, emotionally charged environment, complete with crying during practices, threats to revoke scholarships, and the inappropriate airing of personal issues. It was clear her talent on the court didn't translate to effective mentorship off it. Swoopes became the textbook example of how athletic greatness doesn't always equal coaching success.
Her Loyola basketball player Kate Sohn says Swoopes caused the players to live in fear, that she routinely threatened that they would lose their scholarships or she would cut them from the team.
It made it hard to play. It wasn't about working hard and having fun anymore. It was about surviving.
One case that really highlights the issue is what happened with Lauren Hibbert. She says Swoopes pushed her to sign a medical hardship form, promising she could stay on as a team manager. But once Hibbert realized she wouldn't even be allowed to travel with the squad, it felt like a total betrayal. That kind of manipulation sparked official complaints and played a key role in Swoopes' eventual firing. Now fast forward to 2024, and we're seeing similar patterns emerge, this time aimed at Caitlin Clark. During her controversial February appearance on Gil's Arena, Swoopes made several glaring misstatements. She wrongly claimed Clark was in her 5th college season, it was her 4th, and falsely said Clark was jacking up 40 shots a game, when in reality she averaged just 22.7. These weren't harmless slip-ups, they looked like deliberate attempts to downplay Clark's success.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Carry on.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
What really stood out was Swoopes' dismissive attitude when it came to Clark's historic achievements. She brushed off the milestone with a flippant, so is it truly a broken record? I don't know, I don't think so. And when asked about Clark's potential in the WNBA, she didn't hold back, saying, will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Absolutely not going to happen. The disrespect wasn't subtle, it was loud and clear.
About Caitlin, if you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
This wasn't just one slip-up. It was the latest chapter in a long-running pattern that said more about Sheryl Swoopes than it ever did about Caitlin Clark. Over the past year, we saw the same behavior rear its head. Whenever someone else shined or challenged her credibility, Swoopes didn't respond with encouragement. She lashed out. From the mass player exits at Loyola to the shade thrown at Clark, the through line is hard to ignore. Instead of lifting others up, she consistently treats success as a threat. That mindset finally caught up to her in Dallas, where her on-air commentary crossed a line, even for a league that usually protects its legends. When you trace her coaching exit to her broadcasting fallout, the story becomes clear. Swoopes hasn't learned to evolve with the game or accept fair criticism. So what exactly went down with the Wings last season?
And then obviously you guys remember last year when Dallas had to pretty much say, hey, you can't broadcast Indiana Fever game after the little comments and things you had the game before or something like that. Yeah, I believe it was that. And Nancy Lieberman was the one who pretty much confronted Sheryl Swoopes about the whole situation and let her know, like, hey, you know, we got to keep it this, we got to keep it that. Keep it about basketball.
The controversy surrounding the Wings broadcast wasn't just about Caitlin Clark. It was about Sheryl Swoopes making enemies in all the wrong places. When legends of the game start openly criticizing one of their own, you know something major is happening behind the scenes. That's exactly what went down when Swoopes found herself targeted by two of basketball's biggest voices, Stephen A. Smith and Nancy Lieberman.
You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
Stephen A. Smith has never been one to shy away from voicing his opinions. He didn't just disagree with Swoopes. He tore apart her credibility on national TV. In one particularly brutal segment, Smith directly questioned her intentions for continually overlooking Caitlin Clark's role in the Indiana Fever's success. "Do you have any idea how that makes you look?" Smith fired back, his tone growing more intense. How could you possibly ignore Caitlin Clark? What made Smith's attack so impactful wasn't just his massive platform, but his sharp insinuation that Swoopes' failure to acknowledge Clark wasn't accidental. It was calculated and unprofessional. Given her vast basketball knowledge, Clark's influence should have been impossible to miss.
Sheryl, since she was in college, I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that you know, there was this quote by Sheryl that said, you know, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, however old, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate.
Starting a feud with Stephen A. Smith was just the tip of the iceberg for Swoopes' downfall. Nancy Lieberman, a fellow broadcaster and once close friend, took things to another level. After hearing Swoopes' comments about Caitlin Clark, Lieberman reportedly called Swoopes directly to confront her about the false claims she made. That conversation clearly didn't go well, so badly in fact, that Lieberman later confirmed their friendship was essentially over as a result. The consequences were swift and brutal. In a turn of events that seemed almost scripted for maximum humiliation, Lieberman ended up replacing Swoopes on the Dallas Wings broadcasts. This wasn't just a simple staff change. It was a public declaration of who truly held the credibility in basketball circles. Lieberman's decision to challenge Swoopes and then literally take her place on the broadcast highlighted just how far Swoopes had fallen in her career.
That's what Nancy was all about. She was keeping it very, hey, let's bring this women's game let's bring it all together. Let's grow this thing together. And the question was talking about how older people or older players in the league pretty much should going about what's going on in the league. And Nancy knows Caitlin Clark is the biggest. She's got the eyes, she's got the fans. let's not try to sink it. Let's try to get on the boat with her. And let's grow the game.
These public clashes didn't just tarnish Swoopes' image with fans, they also alienated her within the professional basketball world. When respected figures like Stephen A. Smith and Nancy Lieberman openly challenge your credibility, networks and organizations start paying attention. For the Dallas Wings and their broadcasting partner, these conflicts likely validated what viewers had been voicing all along. Swoopes had become more of a liability than a valuable asset to their brand. With all this baggage weighing her down, how will it affect Swoopes heading into the 2025 season?
I see, they ain't got Sheryl no more. Cheryl's gone. Cheryl's gone. Nancy still got her job, though. Nancy still got her job. They got Sheryl built. They got Sheryl built. See? Sheryl was there last year. She ain't there no more.
That assessment of her as a liability proved to be the final blow to Swoopes' broadcasting career. But what's truly astonishing isn't just that she was taken off the Fever games. It's that the Dallas Wings completely removed her from their 2025 broadcast roster. If you look at the official statement from the Wings announcing their 2025 team, Swoopes' name is glaringly absent.
It looks like the Dallas Wings have left off Mrs. Sheryl Swoopes on the broadcasting team for the 2025 season. If you guys remember, Sheryl Swoopes, she was on the broadcasting team last year.
This wasn't just about shielding Caitlin Clark, it was about safeguarding the Wings' reputation and ensuring a positive viewing experience. The decision to remove Swoopes from all broadcasts, not just Fever games, indicated that the organization saw a deeper issue with her approach to commentary. Her ongoing negativity and repeated factual mistakes had evolved from an annoyance to a real business risk, especially as viewership for women's basketball reached new heights. But what came next might be the most revealing part of the story. After a year of harsh criticism and controversy, Swoopes suddenly appeared on ESPN praising the very player she'd spent months criticizing. You can really see how much stronger Caitlin got in the offseason. She's been in the gym working on her game. Swoopes enthused, adding, "This Indiana Fever team, they've put the pieces together this offseason, and I'm excited to see what they'll do."
The team that I feel made the biggest moves, maybe even the best moves, that would be the Indiana Fever. I think the Indiana Fever went from just being in the playoffs last season to potentially winning a championship. How much stronger Caitlin got in the offseason. You know, she was in the gym working on her game. This Indiana Fever team, they have put the pieces together in this offseason, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Fans weren't buying this sudden about face for a second. Social media lit up with skepticism and mockery. Comments on ESPNW's post ranged from, "Oh, look at her changing her tune now," to, "Is Swoopes okay? She actually said something nice about Caitlin Clark instead of spinning a lie." Some were even more blunt, saying, "She's admitting defeat," and "I can't imagine how many months of therapy it took her to say Caitlin's name without grimacing."
Kept on saying it. I said, Sheryl Swoopes, you are going to find yourself out of the media so fast by how you're, by how you're moving, how you're talking on other players, talking on other people's podcasts.
Even Stephen A. Smith couldn't resist calling out Swoopes for her sudden change of heart, pointing out that her previous silence about Clark's skills seemed very personal. What she doesn't realize is that when you ignore something so obvious, people are going to assume it's personal, Smith said. "You know the game of basketball too well to overlook the things she's been ignoring when it comes to Caitlin Clark." The Indiana Fever, which Swoopes spent a whole year criticizing, has now turned into a legitimate title contender before our eyes. What began with that late season 5-game winning streak, where Clark started hitting her stride, was just the beginning. Now, in 2025, the real action is underway, and basketball fans everywhere are taking notice. Experts are now ranking them as at least the third best team in the league.
The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
Indiana's front office has pulled off one of the most impressive roster overhauls in recent WNBA memory. The acquisitions of 3-time champion Natasha Howard and 2-time champion Dana Bonner are far more than just smart moves. They're the kind of calculated decisions that can elevate a team from playoff contender to serious championship contender. Bonner, despite being 36, remains a powerhouse, averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.2 blocks across 40 games last year with Connecticut. Howard, a former Defensive Player of the Year, adds a level of defensive prowess that perfectly complements the Fever's promising young talent. And let's not forget the depth provided by Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, and Brianna Turner, all key pieces to a solid bench. What makes these veteran additions so genius is how seamlessly they slot in alongside Clark, Boston, Hull, and Mitchell. The Fever's youthful core was in dire need of exactly what Howard and Bonner bring to the table: playoff-tested experience, defensive versatility, and the leadership that only comes from thriving under postseason pressure. This roster now strikes the perfect balance between youthful energy and seasoned know-how, much like the 2022 Aces did, blending veterans with rising stars to capture a title.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT!
She signed my jersey! So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these people that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
As Caitlin Clark heads into her second year, the rest of the league should be on high alert. Remember those final 13 games of 2024 where the Fever finished 8-5? That wasn't just a random streak. It was Clark truly finding her rhythm in the pro game. Now, with an entire offseason to get stronger and fine-tune her skills, we're only scratching the surface of what she can achieve at the next level. Even Sheryl Swoopes, who had been one of her harshest critics, is finally acknowledging the Fever's potential. In a recent statement, Swoopes admitted, "The team I feel made the biggest moves, maybe even the best moves, is the Indiana Fever. I think they went from being a playoff team last season to possibly winning a championship. I'm excited to see what they're going to do." When your toughest critic starts backing you up, you know something special is starting to take shape.
And the OG Wnba, who plays both ends of the floor, who's a competitor, Natasha Howard, who's another OG, who's going to bring the defensive presence. And then you're bringing back Aaliyah Boston, who continues to get better every single year. Can we talk about Kelsey Mitchell, who is just a walking bucket?
The Indiana Fever's championship window isn't just opening, it's being flung wide open. With Caitlin Clark leading the charge, supported by Boston's dominance in the paint, Mitchell's scoring ability, Hall's relentless hustle, and the championship caliber additions of new free agents, this roster is built to compete with the best in the league. The difference between Indiana and Swoopes is undeniable. While she scrambles to salvage her broadcasting career with transparent attempts at damage control, the Fever are forging something real and possibly historic. The very team and players Swoopes spent a year trying to undermine could very well be lifting a championship trophy while she watches from the sidelines.
Went from the locker room is in shambles, players want to leave, it's a toxic environment, nobody wants to be there, the fans are terrible, to, I don't know, I wasn't even in the locker room, to the OGs that they brought in, the OGs that said, I want to come play over there.
What we're seeing with Swoopes' firing goes beyond just office drama. It's the WNBA sending a clear message about where it's headed. As Nancy Lieberman wisely stated, we should celebrate those who push the game forward. The league is finally choosing growth and accuracy over protecting former stars whose actions hinder the sport's progress. While Swoopes scrambles to reverse her stance on Caitlin Clark and the Fever, the basketball world has already moved forward. With the WNBA's rapid growth, the league needs voices that uplift its rising stars, not ones that try to bring them down. In the end, true legends of the game aren't just defined by their on-court success. They're also remembered for how they empower the next generation, something Swoopes never quite grasped. Let us know your thoughts on Swoopes' firing in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one.